Willkommen zurück. That is my poor idea of German for welcome back. Anyway, so here we are again. You might wonder why this car is spinning around here. Let me focus on it. This is the Porsche 917-20. It's a Le Mans racing car, and it's the first pink pig. You'll see a lot of diecast cars with this kind of livery on it because it's a cool looking livery. It's like pork chops or something like that. That's what the text is. It's the cuts of meat on a pig, I assume. Maybe a cow, but it's called a pink pig, I assume, because it's a pig. Anyways, you also wonder maybe why there are photos of a regular Porsche back there. Actually, it's not a regular Porsche. It's a Porsche 934. And that orange one on the left, the Jägermeister one, is a really successful race car. It was basically a racing version of the Porsche 911 Turbo of the day, which is, we're talking the mid-70s. It was prepared for FIA Group 4 racing, and it was available between 1976 and 1977, so only 31 of them were ever built. Pretty rare car. In order to get a lot of the weight out of the vehicle, they switched a lot of panels, like the doors, the engine lid, the boot, those fender flares. Those are switched over to fiberglass. And so the engine was tuned to 480 horsepower out of the 3-liter flat 6, and that's in 1976. In 1977, I guess they bumped it up to 550 horsepower, so that's a lot of power going through two rear tires. This, I believe it was that Jägermeister car that won the European GT Championship in 1976, and I'm not sure if it was this exact car or maybe a different 934, but the 934 won the 1976 and 1977 Category 2 Trans Am Championship, and in 1977 it also won the Australian Sports Car Championship, and then later on in 1980 it won that same Australian Championship as well. So it's got, five championships under its belt, so that's pretty good, and considering only 31 of them were ever built, it's not like they're, filling up the whole field of racing. Well, maybe they were, who knows. I know there's a lot of liveries and stuff. I know there's even models of this thing, but I got a decent price on this one, so I decided to go with the pink pig. Okay, so let's crack this guy open here and compare it. So, well, let's see. Well, let's get the film off. We'll take a look at the packaging. I don't think there's much to see, though. This is one of those resin models, guys. If you guys are newer to this hobby, which I still consider myself pretty new. I've only been in this for like half a year. But resin models are high detail, and even some of the die-cast models are high detail, so they don't roll. They're not meant to roll. They're just meant to look super nice on your shelf. They literally become paperweights. You gotta accept that. You don't really want to play around with the model this nice, I don't think. It'll chip and parts will fall off. So yeah, the brand of this diecast is brand of this resin cast is a JEC. It was produced by JEC. That's it. It's unlicensed. There's no Porsche thing. It wouldn't surprise me if you can find a JEC version of this casting in that Jägermeister livery. I'm pretty sure they made this mold specifically to make that car, and now they're just trying to get some of their money back by putting out these fantasy liveries. I did a search and I couldn't find a Porsche 934 pink pig. The closest thing I could find is this ducktail version. But I think this is beef steak or something, or maybe it is pork. I'm not sure, but it's not pink, so maybe it's not pork. Maybe it's a different animal. I don't read German, sorry. Okay, so let's take a look here. This thing does have 2 screws on the base, but these are more pricey / highly detailed resins. I don't take them off the base because I get my fingerprints all over the stuff, and then some of these have such fine parts, like these wiper blades. If you accidentally hit it with a Q-tip or like a polishing cloth, you'll rip it off. So just my suggestion is, with these resins, don't even bother taking them off the base, because there's a good chance you're gonna wreck something if you try to clean it with your fingerprints, or you just put on those fancy gloves. But I'm not going there. I find the gloves to be too slippery, and then I'll just end up dropping the model, which will be just as bad probably. So Okay, let's take a look here. Well, I guess let's start with the nameplate here. So this one is number 169 of 399. So I don't know if that's really rare or not. Let's see. That bothers me. Oh, I think it moved. Yeah, okay, so that's nice. I thought there was a blemish already. Okay, so if you look at this paint, it's pretty nice. I mean, look at the reflection. There's a white diffuser up above, so the LEDs are diffused, but here you can see the reflection of the toothpick here. So that's a super smooth paint job, because you can see, you know, that toothpick's edge is not blurry or anything like that. There's not much orange peel going on in this paint, and so that's one of the nice things I tend to notice on these resin models, the paint finish. Okay, but we don't know what's going to happen long term, 10-20 years. Will this get paint rash? Will the plastic crack? That's debatable. We don't know. But I do know that like the model railroading has been around for a long time, like 50 years or something. They've been plastic, and I don't know, I don't hear them complaining of their model trains falling apart. As long as you don't put a piece of plastic out in the sun or by a window, you know, the UV can't get to it, so it tends to be pretty stable, as we know that plastic will sit in a landfill for like hundreds of years. Okay, so let's continue on. So yeah, again, I can't read or understand German, so I don't know what these cuts are. You know, Hals, Russell. I don't know. I assume it's like cuts of a pig, or maybe not. Maybe there's some names of like specific German people. Maybe they're drivers' names or something, because it just says Hern here. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like the team owner's name or something. I'm just speculating. Look at these wheels. They're pretty awesome. I mean, they're so thin, these spokes. I would have to guess these are supposed to be like BBS wheels, but not really sure. Probably. I mean, if this is the mid-70s, what other brand would be making wheels like that but BBS? But my goodness, look at the dental pick, right? And look how thin the spoke is. Those are probably the nicest mesh wheels I've ever seen in 164. It's possible that might be like a photo etched piece of gold metal, and then it's glued onto like a white backing. I don't think there's any light shining through. Let me grab that flashlight and let's see if we can get some light to shine through a spoke or something, but I don't think it is. I think it's, oh boy, is it? No, it's really hard to say. I can't tell if there's light passing. None seems to be. There's like a little bright thing on the one of the holes, but sorry, I can't figure it out. But all I know is that's a really nice looking wheel, except for the center cap. It's just blank. It's just blank black. I don't know if there should be like some sort of text there or something like BBS, right? But I'm looking at the picture of the Jägermeister car back there, and I can't see anything on that either. But that one has chromed center caps on that one, or the center knockoff nut. Okay, well anyways, yeah, it says Dunlop tire here. And what is that? Is that, I guess it's a tampo print. It's a little shiny, so I almost thought it was a decal, which would be really weird on a rubber tire. But you'll see here the tire is rubbing the fender well. So this reason that the things don't roll. First, they're not meant to be played with, but second, it physically can't roll because the tire is rubbing the fender. At least on the front, though, it's got a little bit more. So in fact, maybe I could adjust the tension. You'll see the tire is like sunken into this base, which has like it's like a fake suede, or it's actually, I don't know if it's suede. It's more like feels like it's a cotton or something. Let me reduce the tension on the rear here without touching the car. Just touch the tires. So I do worry about the base of this thing falling apart in a few years. Yeah, that base, whatever fabric this is, I'm sure it's plastic. I'm sure it's not an organic material. So will this start falling apart like fake suede or fake leather? You know, fake leather gets that cracking on the vinyl. So, okay, well, anyways, I lightened it up a little bit, but it didn't really change the gap between the tire and the model. Okay, well, anyways, let's go on here. The number 23, like the original Pink Pig, is there. And then I guess this is like an old kind of 930 bumper here, you know, with the ugly rubber molding and stuff. Now look at this tiny little turn signal here. It's a piece of plastic. It's not painted. It's actually inserted in there like a real car, so that's pretty awesome. The headlights, of course, are going to be plastic as well. That's pretty awesome. And the way it's molded, you can see like a circle back there. I'm pretty sure it's part of this plastic. It's going into a hole into this body, but it makes it look like a light bulb, so it's pretty cool, I think. Alright, so the front, there is a texture here. Hopefully, if I turn it this way, yeah, you can see there's a texture in the three grills there, so that's nice. And then obviously they're black. I'm wondering if it's just black plastic glued in there. I feel like it is, because I don't think it's paint, because the edges are so nice and you can see a tiny gap right there. So yeah, this is actually a piece of plastic, I think, glued onto that pink body. But so I guess there's a sacrifice there. There's a little bit of a gap, which doesn't look so realistic, but the plus side is you never have paint overrunning onto the pink. You know, it's always going to be a perfect break between the black and the pink. So I guess I'm okay with what they did. Look at this tiny hole here. I assume these go to the brakes. Alright, so that's neat. Alright. And then there seems to be something right there, which I shouldn't probably touch. I don't know what it is. I think that might be an error, actually. Oh boy, look at that. I think this is black decal or paint. Yeah, that's a decal. I just picked it off, so that's an issue. I do find a lot of these resins have decals. Yeah, it's a decal, so that might crack off in the future, which would stink. But here you can see right here, hopefully I won't destroy it, there's an air bubble right there. So this whole graphic, and you can see the wrinkliness of the graphic here. So this is a decal, all this pink pork chop cut line stuff. See, right here is perfectly painted pink, so that's the resin model, and then this wrinkliness is all decal. So that's something to be mindful of. I have a feeling in 10 to 20 years all these decals are going to flake off, or maybe not, it's hard to say. Okay, well, we got a silver gas cap, I assume. That's the gas tank maybe in there. And then we have some metal pieces here, which I'm gonna guess is supposed to be like the hood pin bases. Just missing the pin part. The Porsche crest here, I have to guess, would be a decal as well. Well, this is interesting, yeah. I don't see any of the wrinkliness around it. I almost feel like the Porsche thing is under the clear coat. I don't feel any ridge or anything there. But then here, you can definitely see the wrinkliness. So it's hard to say. These things are so small, it's hard to tell with the naked eye. Okay, so this side, the graphics, the wheels are nice. There's a little black on the door handle that sticks out. It's not flush. It's just not, I don't know, I feel like it could have been applied better. Like more around the top surface and stuff, at least for the price of these kind of models. You got these tiny aerodynamic mirrors, these little bulge things, but there's a little reflector in there. See, that's such a small reflector. That's pretty that's pretty miraculous. Some poor soul had to put that little sticker into this mirror, and probably had to do it at least 400 times, but probably a few thousand times, because there's different colorways of this casting. Alright, so going to the back here, we got the nice plastic lens here, and it's painted, I think, on the back side, you know, but you can see a nice break between the blinker, the backup, and then the brake lights. so that's neat. Some sort of German cut text there, some whatever, Ruken spec. I know spec is very often used in like the naming of cured meats, so I do think actually maybe this is a cut of meat. Okay, let's see. Yeah, those hood releases again, just no pins though. It's just like the base, and then it probably says Porsche there. Yeah, it does say Porsche in fine black text. I feel like that might be a decal printed on. Yeah, I think that's a decal because you can see the clear waviness between the lettering. Alright. So yeah, I'm thinking these are plastic inserts again here, because I can see like a tiny gap there. Now the windows, that's another nice thing about these resin models. They're not molded. They're just like thin pieces of plastic. So they're really clear. Like they don't have much distortion like you would get in a regular molded car. So before we get into the interior, let's just tell you about those windshield wiper blades. Yeah, they are three-dimensional pieces, and I'm not sure if we can see, but I think they're bent 90 degrees, so they're perpendicular to the windshield. Yeah, I can see that far one. It's a piece of metal and it's literally perpendicular to the windshield because it's bent. So that's as realistic as it gets, at least in 164, I think. That's pretty cool. Okay, so this black windshield does have a black graphic printed on it to represent that on the real car. Same with the side, but actually the side one has an additional piece of black plastic to represent the window molding. Same with the back. It's an additional black piece of plastic glued onto that clear plastic that has a black graphic printed on the back side. So that's how much effort's going into the windows of these cars. This rear window is two pieces, but three different processes going on. Alright, so it looks like there's a fire extinguisher in there, and then a white roll cage. And then we got some white racing seats with black seat belts and a silver buckle. Those are probably decals back there. Alright, let's get the flashlight. We gotta try to see what's happening. So there is yellow like printing on those seat belts. I just can't make it out what it says. It's really fine. And interesting, the passenger side seat has no headrest, this being the passenger side. The side with the flashlight, you can see there's a headrest going up there, so that must be the driving side with the steering wheel. That makes sense. It looks like there's a black rear view mirror hanging in there in the middle, so that's pretty cool. And then the roll cage is alright on this one. You can still, it's a little low. I wish it was higher up and maybe thinner diameter, but I've seen worse by like CM's brand in particular, but CM's are a lot cheaper models. Okay, so now I'm also seeing the dashboard has instruments. There, let me focus. Look at that, right? So you got the gauges in there. It looks like the center of the steering wheel might have something there as well. It looks like a bolt pattern, like it's a Momo steering wheel or something. So that's really good detail. I mean, an actual dashboard, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so I guess that's it for the interior. I'm not sure what else one could want from an interior. It's got a lot of detail as it is. Alright, so I guess in summary, it's a pretty fantastic model. It's questionable, or I kind of feel like those decals are going to become problematic in the future, especially if you actually touch this model. They'll flake off or chip off, kind of like I did right there in the front. Right, I'm pretty sure that's a black decal, and I chipped it off a little bit. So it's almost like if you don't want to deal with that problem in the future, I'm not sure if this JEC brand makes just a plain colored car, a car without all these graphics. The Jägermeister version would probably be decals as well. You know, they're not tampo printing them. so it could be an issue. But for me, it's just gonna be, I'm just gonna put the crystal cover back on this thing. It's gonna sit on a shelf, so it will never actually be touched again. This is the most handling you'll ever see in its lifetime. You might want to also loosen the screws, but not to the point where it rattles around, and that's just to really kind of preserve the tires from being crushed, and also just to make the car look sit a little nicer on the stand. The stand material is highly questionable. That might fall apart as well in a few years, but I guess worst case scenario, I could just remove it, clean it, put this thing back on, and then screw it back onto the base. But we're talking decades, at least a decade out. So, well, who knows if I'll even be around in a decade. Alright, so, pretty cool model. If you're a Porsche fan, this one was for you. And I appreciate you guys swinging by. You may have noticed that I did a big video dump, like 30 videos over the weekend. I'm just now gonna do like maybe one video a day or even less whenever they come in. I'm not gonna like store a bunch of videos on my desktop. It's just annoys me. OCD, I guess, who knows. But so please get used to that. If there might be days where I don't have any videos because I literally might not have any cars to review. I was trickling them out before, but I just don't feel a need to do that. I want to have like a personal goal of like one video a day for a month, and I already broke that record like I think back in March, so I'm happy with that. Alright guys, yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, appreciate you swinging by.